pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everybody for appearing tonight. Mr. Latrimore, roll call for attendance, please.
Trustee Pelkey.
Here.
Trustee Menard.
Here.
Trustee Rodriguez. Trustee Arno.
Present.
Mayor LaBounty.
Here. I have no one from the public that wants to speak before the board this evening, so we'll go right to the January 17, 2023 regular minute meetings, do we have any questions or any changes on that minutes? If not, then I need a motion to accept those minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes from the January 17th meeting? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We also have the bills. Any additions, trustee or treasurer Letourneau?
We have two additions this evening. The first one is Excelis Health Plan Group in the amount of $5,506.38. That's the monthly Medicare supplement C. And the other one is Twin State Technologies in the amount of $1,364.80, which is the license for our Central Intercept. It's for the workstations, antivirus.
Thank you. Would the board like any discussions on any of the bills? If not, then I need a motion to accept those bills.
I make a motion to accept the bills.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Correspondence from the administrator, do we have any?
I do. First of all, I received a request by email. As the board may or may not know, Jerry Hicks passed away, and their family sent me an email. They wanted to attend this meeting today, but they were unable to attend. They would like to donate remodeling the referee room and put a plaque up in dedication to Jerry. And they wanted to know if that would be something that the Board of Trustees would consider to allow them to do.
I make a motion, we allow them.
I'll second.
Do that.
All those in favor of allowing that, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Ryan, did you second that?
Oh.
Or Dale?
I second.
Okay, thank you. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is that just to remind everybody that the next scheduled board meeting is going to be Tuesday, February 21st, not Monday, the 20th. So February 21st is the next board meeting.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Latrimore?
No.
I have on my agenda Resolution 23-4, the Barn Street extension, which will go past Lily up to the gate before our sewer plant. Does there anybody have any discussions on that? If not, then I need a motion to approve that resolution 23-4 to extend Barn Street up past Lily to the gate of our sewer plant.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor of, maybe we'll take a roll call vote on that, please, Mr. Latrimore.
Trustee Pelkey? Aye. Trustee Menard?
Aye.
Trustee Arno?
Aye.
Trustee Rodriguez absent. Mayor LaBounty?
Aye. Resolution 23-4, allowing the extension of Barn Street has been approved by the board. I also would like the board to consider the appointment of Charlene Sample for recreational leader. Any comments or questions or discussion on that? If not, then I need a motion to appoint Ms. Sample to the recreational leader.
I'll put that in form of a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on that, Mr. Latrimore.
Trustee Pelkey? Aye. Trustee Menard?
Aye.
Trustee Arno?
Aye.
Trustee Rodriguez? Mayor LaBounty?
Aye. Appointment of Charlene Sample has been approved by the board as recreational leader.
I think she'll do a good job. She'll do a
I
very
think
good job.
Charlene will do an excellent job for us. And the last thing I have would be the fire department training building behind the blue building. I have spoken with myself, Mr. Latchmore, the administrator, and Fire Chief Michael Blanc, had a discussion in regards to this building. We determined, according to what Mr. Blanc, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Latchmore, that the building belongs to the Village of Ross Point, not the fire department. Is that what was stated to us?
That is correct. The building was donated to the Village of Rouses Point.
Okay, and in those discussions, he said that the building is still being used ongoing, and that the very little repair, if anything, needs to be done to the building, except the brush to be cleaned away from the front of it. I would entertain discussion from the board. I have Mr. Pelkey and Mr. Arnold, who are members of the fire department. They would know more about this than I have, because I'm not a member of the fire department, unfortunately. So do either trustees have a comment on that?
I haven't been in the building for probably 3 years, 4 years. Well, it needs to be, some remodeling has to be done if it's gonna, you know, be.
He indicated to me, Brian, that, and Chris, you can correct me once again, that the only thing needed to be repaired on the building was the texture 111 on the outside.
Right.
But he said that there is tracks inside the building to train these firemen, and he indicated that, as far as he knows, that there is no dangerous flooring in there, or if there is, very little, and he'd be willing to fix it. So I don't know how the board wants to deal with this. It's been an ongoing topic of discussion. You know, do we keep it, get rid of it? I don't.
It was brought to our attention that it was pretty much an eyesore.
Yeah,
So the eyesore is, the siding is falling off. So, I mean, I think that the siding needs to be repaired and brought up to at least so it looks nice, if you're gonna keep it there for training. I mean, I'm all about training. I mean, I believe, you know, we need our training. But if the building, if the brush is growing up around it, it needs to be cleared out, it needs to be maintained.
Well, I don't think the village should do that.
No, bottom line, the thing needs to be maintained, the porch needs to be secured.
Secure, right?
And, I mean, a couple of workouts on a Monday night could be done, but.
But I get the impression that, and once again, Mr. Administrator, you can correct me, that the fire chief indicated to me that that wasn't the fireman's responsibility to do the brush cutting and all that stuff. That was, he put it on the village work crew. I don't know if you guys agree with that or disagree with that.
Well, if they're gonna access the building, they have to, you know, keep it maintained around there.
Right, I would think so.
But, you know, I just wanna know if we should.
If the fire department's gonna use the building as a training, they should maintain the building.
Yeah, I agree. Right.
Oh.
And that was the deal, it was supposed to be maintained by the fire department.
Well, Mr. Rodriguez Jack Rodriguez, he's the assistant chief or
Yeah.
first, whatever.
Second assistant chief.
Second assistant chief. He had a proposal to take and build a building behind the fire station on that property. Not the barbecue pit, the other, a little building to take and do fire rescues in there and whatever, stuff like that. But I don't know whatever happened to that, they turned it down or whatever, I don't know.
But I don't know if we want, are we in agreement, are we gonna not have the administrator direct Adam Menard and his work crew to trim up around that building, and it's in the responsibility of the firemen, or not? I mean, this is what I wanna make sure, because I'm gonna have another meeting with the administrator and Mr. LeBlanc, because I wanna make sure we're all on the same page.
Well, I think if they want it as a fire, training thing, they should maintain around it, or
Yeah.
at least 10 feet around it, whatever.
I mean, if there's trees growing through it, nobody's touched it in a few years.
Well, Mr. Cooper, what does it look like back there?
Well, I went back and I did a few pictures and walked around. Of course, it's locked up, I have no access to it. But the trees are about 4 inches around it. That means nothing's been done in, well, if it's 4 inches around, but a couple of years. I think it is a terrible eyesore. If they're gonna leave it there, they should put cover the sides of it. I'll agree with what Brian says, make it look presentable. People do behind our buildings, you know, because they're in and out, and that, of course, we got the marina over there. I don't feel that it's a village job to maintain a training facility for the fire department. I don't understand how we own it anyway.
Well,
totally escaped
that's
that.
what I tried to gather, who owned it, whether the fire department or the village owned it, before we decided to make a decision on whether we were gonna fix up the building, or to cut debris around the building, or take the building and demolish it. You know, that's why I wanted to find out some background, and apparently this building's been in possession of the village for at least 10 years or more.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah.
But you know, when we have our next meeting with the fire chief, I just wanna know what's the board's feeling. Do I tell them that we come to a decision that you have to maintain the property, and how long do you got to fix up what's damaged now and trim the trees? Do we give them a month, 2 months, or is it a winter weather clears, or springtime?
I would say by May 1st or something like that, I mean, once the weather breaks, or,
I mean, I'm glad that they have the door secure, that it is locked up. But if somebody goes up on that porch and breaks an ankle or something, whose responsibility is it gonna be? So,
well, it's
it
gonna
needs
be
to
the
be
village.
repaired.
Yeah.
Can I just add my 2 cents?
Sure.
Okay, so the fire department is part of the village, okay? And the village maintains any other building within the village that belongs to the village, correct? So how can you single this building out that belongs to the village that the fire department's gonna have to maintain rather than the village?
I don't think
Because it's part of the village, correct?
I don't know that.
no, I don't think it's part of the village, no.
Well, it was given to the village,
Give it to the fire department.
well, which is part of, the board at that 10 years ago accepted that to receive that trailer.
So
As a-
whatever
as
is
a
the fire
training
Is that in
department
writing?
is the village's.
I would have to go and check the minutes. But if it's part of the village, then it becomes a village responsibility to maintain it.
Well, I don't think the village should put any money into it.
So if
So
it
then
is
you
part of
would
the
have to-
village's, then the village should have the right to tear it down.
That's correct.
If they haven't used it in 3, 4, 5 years,
Mike said they use it twice a year for training. Last year they.
See, that's where I'm up against
maybe
it, because
used
I don't know
once,
whether they
maybe
do use
twice.
it once,
Yeah,
twice,
I don't
3
either.
times a year. You know, that's where, you know, you guys in the fire department would know that better than I would. And to what, like Trustee Arnold said, how much money are we gonna spend, and should we spend anything on it, or does it come out of the fireman's budget? Or, I mean, like I said, I'm just a little confused how we should go with this.
Well, you know, if you do an assessment of the building and it costs you more to repair the building than it's worth, what's the sense of repairing it?
Right.
I agree with you 100% there.
I mean, if everybody decides that the building is in rough shape and it's, you know, it does not meet code and it's an eyesore, well, then it needs to be taken out of there.
right, right.
I mean, we work with the village, or with the fire department. The training is very essential, and hopefully they do go forward with a plan in doing a training exercise like at the station. It would be more central located at the station where your equipment is there and you're not off-site, you're not in 2 different places, is what I'm trying to say. And I think it would work out a little bit better. But, I mean, I think we can table it and talk about it at the next fire department meeting if you want myself and Trustee Arnold to represent the village. And
I think that would probably be the way to go, Trustee Falcone. You know, obviously, we don't wanna go to war with the fire department.
Oh, no, nobody.
And at the
We
end
don't
of the
want to hurt
day,
any training that they do.
but at the end of the day, to what extent is this building being used? And to what extent does it have to be repaired? And who has to repair and maintain it? These are the things that we have to establish, whether it's the village or the fire department, and that responsibility we have to determine. I mean, that's, to me, those are the guidelines we need to establish. They should have been established before, but, and it's like the administrator said, I've been at a loss to find out exactly why it was donated, when it was donated, what was the purpose of donating, whether there was anything to decide who maintained it or did not maintain it, and so on and so forth. So I think you have a perfect idea. You and Trustee Arnold go to the meeting, bring this up, and you
You
can
can bring it up and we'll get feedback from them and.
Yeah,
we'll
and bring it back to the board.
the
and we
board
can
and we'll see what, you know, if everybody's in agreement on what direction to go in.
just-
Because, I mean, there is essential things that have to be repaired. The fire department needs a roof, that's more important than some old.
Absolutely.
Some old trailer that's out back.
Well, in the meantime, can we get like contractor or something, or somebody just to look at it to see, you know, somebody put eyes on it, or put some
Well, the
numbers to
village
it to
crew
see?
is pretty well handy and stuff like that, they can fix it
No,
up.
I understand that, but
But-
we need a price, you know, how much is it gonna cost to replace the siding or whatever else?
Right.
You know,
When
can we
you-
get Adam to go down or whoever?
But in my understanding, the only one that has a key to that is Mr. LeBlanc.
I don't know.
As far as I know.
Okay, because then we're gonna have to coordinate between Mr. Menard and Mr. LeBlanc, that have a pick a time for they go in the building and inspect it. I would probably go along with the administrator, we get more, a couple sets of eyes on it, and then we can make a better determination.
Right.
A, if it's usable, B, how much it's gonna cost us to fix it,
Right.
or if it's not fixable, get rid of it.
And that'd give you guys a little bit more information going to the fire department, you know, saying, hey, this is how much it's gonna cost to fix it. You
We
know?
have a meeting next Monday.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Then I think at this point, then I think, based on trustee Pelkey's recommendation, I think I'll let trustee Pelkey and trustee Arnold go to the firemen's meeting and have further discussion with the chiefs and the assistant chiefs to determine what they wish to do with this building and how they wish to proceed. And then the board would have a more enlightened detail about how we were gonna proceed. So I think for this point, we'll table it until the next meeting, and then we'll go from there. Any objections to that? We're all in agreement?
Yep.
Okay, that's all I have. Trustee Arnold.
All right, the local law, 120-25 on animals. There's 3 or 4 people in the village that would like to have some chickens. And it states in the law here, under animals, fowls, hogs, cows, horses, goats, and other farm animals shall not be permitted in the village limits. But we got people that would like to raise some chickens or have some chickens, and
Well, there's pros and cons of doing it. I see they did something like this in the city of Plattsburgh, and they approved it. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. I don't know, in the summertime, if we have 3, 4 chickens and 3, 4 neighbors in a row, is this gonna create some smell in the area? If not, you know, is it gonna cause any other problems?
well, we'd have to put some
Well, you got noise.
stipulations that, you know, you can't have a dozen chickens or whatever, and
Right.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. You gotta have a chicken coop and stuff like that, to keep them in.
And if we're gonna change it, we'd have to have a public hearing on this.
Yep.
Public referendum. How's the rest, how do you feel, trustee Menard?
Personally, I'm against it. I don't feel in the village limits. I think we've got this in there for a reason. I think more people are gonna be against it than are for it. And I think it's just gonna cause a lot of hard feelings between neighbors if some don't want it and some do.
Well, unfortunately, before I retired from the judge in the town of Champlain, I had one of these cases, that somebody in the village of Champlain had some chickens, and it turned into be quite a argument, and it ended up in court, and my ruling was it violated the local ordinance and the law, and I had to have the individual remove these chickens, so, but there was the noise, a little bit of a noise that apparently from some of the neighbors, and they said the smell, so, you know, like I said, I can understand because of the cost of the eggs, it's $7, $8, $9 a dozen, but where do we draw the line? If price of bacon goes up to $10 a pound, we're gonna let everybody have 1 or 2 pigs in their yard, I mean.
I just feel that we don't have big enough yards in the village, everybody is so close to each other. But, you know, like you said, if you have 3, 4, 5 people in a row that have chickens, is that smell gonna, you know, and the noise, and I'm against it.
Trustee Pelkey, do you have a comment?
I had a couple of people talk to me about it this weekend because they seen what Plattsburgh did.
Yeah, I saw it.
Plattsburgh changed their local law so you can have up to 6 chickens, 6 hens,
No roosters.
no roosters. I hear pros and cons from everybody, because I've been asking people, what's your thoughts on this? And right now, it's 50-50 that some people say.
And I really don't think that the people realize that wanna get these chickens, the cost of feeding these and everything else associated with it, you know, it's gonna be a little bit more costly than I think they anticipate to save money on a dozen or so eggs, but, you know, it's up to the pleasure of the board and.
I don't know if we can all take, I mean, we're all out in the public and, you know, do a little survey, and talk to the people and get their thoughts on it, and then come back to this. And if there's people that are, you know, that really want for us to change this law, they'll come to the meeting and address the board. And I think that, you know, we need to, at least do a little survey. And so far, like, the people I talk to, a lot of people don't want them, but some people do want them.
And, you know, are we gonna allow, I don't know, a handful of people to dictate to the rest of the village? And I'm not saying that they don't have a right, the
Yeah.
individuals, but I mean, this is, we gotta find out what's overall best for the majority of the village.
And like I said, I mean, me being against it is just that in the village, there's not a lot of big lots. You know, you don't have a lot of space like you do, say, in the town of Champlain, to where you can, you know, it's not gonna really bother anybody. Your closest neighbor is 200 feet down the road, you know. Here, your next door neighbor is
A lot of the lots.
right
are
on your lots, they touch
50
each
foot
other.
wide or 75
Right.
foot wide, and
Yeah.
then, you know.
So, I mean, that's my concern, is that the lots are way too small, and, you know, if you have 4 or 5 of these in a row, I think the smell and the noise is gonna upset the neighbors.
You have a comment, trustee Arnold? on that?
No, I just brought it up, and like I said, I had 4 or 5 people ask me if I could bring it up at the board meeting, and
I mean, there's ways that if they wanna address this, they can go out and get a petition and get signatures and bring it back to the board. Let these people, just see if there's interest
Yeah.
out there.
If there's a lot of momentum out there for this, you're right.
Yeah.
And then they won't have any trouble getting the petition and getting signatures on it.
Right, I think that's what they should do.
No, I think that's an excellent idea also, so, I think from my standpoint, unless the board disagrees, unless we get people coming to the meeting or we get a petition, presented to us, I think at this point, we should table it and not go forward. Anybody disagree with that? No?
No.
sounds good.
Okay. Okay, anything else, trustee Arnold?
Yes, the 4th of July committee, I went to their last meeting, and they brought up about having a cornhole tournament here at the rec center. When was it, Matt?
I'm not sure what the date was, if it was that week or,
No, it was before, so they could raise money.
Right.
4th of July.
I'm not sure.
Well, it was like
There is a meeting
May
tomorrow.
or June, something like that, something. But anyhow, in order to do that, and they wanted to have alcohol and stuff, and they have to have a license,
They need to present,
Board
liquor
approval.
legal liability.
right, thing of liability and stuff like that, so,
Almost have to have a business to.
yes.
But we haven't been presented with anything official yet, have we?
No, I'm just bringing it up
Okay.
to see if it could be done, if the village would go along with open container for that tournament or whatever, you know. But like Chris said, you gotta have a permit and whatever, and insurance and stuff like that, and,
Yeah, it'd be similar to what they do with the 4th of July. They
Right.
have,
A waiver?
you know, they have what, it was the Legion that uses their license to,
Sandy's Deli.
Sandy's Deli, yeah.
Sandy's Deli and the wine, one of the wineries. No, craft brewer.
One of the craft breweries, and I think Three Maples Winery, we're all here, so.
so I mean, as long as they do the similar, I mean, I don't see
So just-
where we wouldn't allow them to use the rec center. I mean, you know, the ice will be gone by then, they could use the cement pad, you know, I don't see where that,
We'd have to get more information on it.
Right, yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely need more information.
Yeah.
See what they're,
I
Yeah,
forget
I
who brought
would-
it up, what was it?
I would say we gotta wait till we're presented with some more information.
Right.
One of the girls.
You know.
Yeah, one of the girls brought it up, anyhow.
No, but
We'll get more
if you see them, trustee Arnold, let them know we need more information and that we're open-minded about it. And if it's gonna raise money for our Fourth of July celebration, obviously it's a good thing, so. But we just need more information at this point.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, trustee Menard.
The only thing I have is, I would just like to thank the village workers, they're doing a great job on the offices, and looks really, really good in there. I just wanna thank everybody that's helped out and participated in fixing that up, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Belkey.
yes, I have a couple things. I'm wondering if we can get the tree addressed down at the Sportsman's Pier. There was a limb that was taken off by a truck apparently, and it's a nice ash tree. And there was one odd limb that went over the sidewalk and toward the street, and a truck took off one side of the limb, and the other side of the limb is still there, and it looks pretty funky. I wonder if we can get that cut off, so the tree would look more uniform, and this is the time of year to do it, so it won't bleed out and die. So if we can get that one limb taken care of down there, it would look so much nicer.
Where was this?
Right down by Sportsman's, right in the front of Sportsman's, one of those trees by the sidewalk.
Okay.
There was like a limb that came out, and there's like two limbs that came over the sidewalk and over the road, and a truck took one off, and the other one is just, it's all rough and scraggly and hanging there. But the tree is a nice uniform tree, it's too bad to, to lose the tree. So what I'm thinking, if they could just saw off that one limb, and then it could heal itself, and the tree would blossom nice this summer.
You can take care of that, Mr. Lattimore?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
The second thing I have is, I'd like to see some plywood put on the dugouts down there. So,
Happening.
it's gonna happen?
Yes, Greg and Jerry are gonna be putting it up tomorrow.
Okay.
What we're gonna be doing is, rather than going out buying new plywood, some of the old signs that we had for advertisement, we're gonna be utilizing those.
Well, we have plywood down at the village garage that they took off the renovations.
Okay.
He showed me a couple pieces today that they could just go down there and put up like one piece of plywood in each door to secure the dugouts.
Greg has these all ready to go now.
Do they?
So him and Jerry will be putting those up tomorrow.
Reason why is because, we spent over $5,000 a piece in these dugouts. And it seems like juveniles use them as hangouts. And we had an incident there a couple weeks ago that the EMS and the state police had to be called. And luckily, the state police took care of the situation, and they must have got a hold of parents, because when I went back out there Sunday to check on the condition of the dugouts, it was all cleaned up. And Saturday night, it was a complete mess. I mean, it's not a hangout. Those dugouts were built for the girls softball teams down there. And like I said, we spent $5,000 a piece on those two dugouts. And it's not made as a hangout. So for now, I'd like to see them secured with plywood. But come spring, I'd like to see a door put on them so they could be locked up for
The
fall
old
and
ones,
the
the
winter
old ones
months.
did have doors on them.
What's that?
The old dugouts did have doors on them.
Yeah,
The
he-
ones that are there still are. They still
Even
are.
if they use a fencing like they did in the front, we
Yeah.
have all that fencing from the school, and Johnny Bernard is talented enough that he can make a nice screen door to go on there out of the chain link fencing, where it would look nice, the breeze would still go through, and we can secure them.
No, you're 100% right, because after the incident we got from the state police, the administrator and myself talked about this, and we have to protect ourselves, because if somebody got hurt, which is a good possibility, the liability factor for us would have been terrible. So at the end of the day, let's alleviate that by boxing these things up and making it more secure. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's gonna be done tomorrow, so.
Okay.
Okay? Anything else, trustee Pelkey?
No, that's it.
Trustee Orig's not here. Code Officer Cooper, do you have anything you want to report?
No, sir, things are pretty quiet.
Okay. Anybody from the public who would like to address the board? No? If not, then I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor of adjourning? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're in adjournment.